Hi, my name is Jojo, and in this video I will explain how to set up a Sibley Bell Tent. I have the 400 ProTech version here, but the same principles apply to the largest or the smallest version. Each tent comes with pegs, spare parts, the poles, the tent canvas and the ground sheet, with which we start by unrolling and unfolding it all the way. The ground sheet is not a perfect circle but has a flat side, which is where the entrance will be. In this setup, I want to have the entrance facing the camera. We make sure that the ground sheet is laying nicely again before we bring in the tent canvas. When setting up the tent for the first time, the canvas and the ground sheet are not zipped together. We unfold the canvas on the ground sheet, find and align the entrance, and spread the canvas all the way around. It's also good to make sure that the lines are lying on top and are not tangled under the canvas, because that makes the next step easier. The start of the zippers is at the opposite end of the entrance. Make sure that the fabric is aligned well, otherwise the zip can be difficult to close. If the zip still gets stuck often, another trick is to grab the slider on both sides for an even pull. Next we need the ground sheet pegs. We start on one side of the entrance, and before putting in the other side we make sure to pull the ground sheet so that the entrance stays nice and flat. But we don't follow the circle around. We'd rather go to the opposite side and pull to make it as tight as possible. And then we continue in a crisscross pattern. Otherwise the ground sheet could be skewed and wouldn't be a circle anymore. Then it's time for the center pole. There is really only one way to assemble that, but it has a top and a bottom side. The top side has this D-ring welded to it to hang stuff on it. So we make sure to enter the tent with that side first. When we are buried under the canvas, we make our way to the middle, find the tip of the tent and push up the canvas with the pole. Now, especially in the larger tents, this can be quite a heavy task. The trick is to do it slowly, step by step. Place the pole on the ground in the meantime and give the air time to flow into the tent. Otherwise, we have the air pressure working against us. And now it already looks like a tent. Next comes the A-frame pole for the entrance. Again, there is only one way to assemble it. It has a little plastic cap on top, which we take off and put somewhere safe. For entering the tent, it's easier when the A-frame is not set up all the way. The little pin goes through the ring at the top of the entrance and the bottom parts slide into these two sockets on the ground sheet on either side. And remember the rain cap to prevent water from coming in. Before setting up the ropes, it's important to close the entrance, otherwise it could be under too much tension so that it can't be closed afterwards. And now we need the larger pegs. The basic method to set up the guy lines is by putting the peg in the ground about 1.5 meters or 5 feet away from the tent. For the right horizontal position, think of the guy lines as a continuation of the seams on the tent. Now, this option of setup requires a lot of space around the tent, but there is a more space-saving option. The short guy poles. First, we measure roughly the distance of one pole length for putting the peg into the ground. The now way too long line can be shortened by pulling the rope through like this and finding the approximate correct length. Then we tie a simple knot that can easily be opened again. Then we adjust the pole to about a 45-degree angle and make sure that everything is tight. If we need more tension, we can adjust the pole or the slider on the line. Now, with these short guy poles, it is important to check the correct angle of the roof edge. It should be at an angle that the water can flow off well. Otherwise, your tent could end up looking like this after some time if water stays on there. Here on the right side, the angle is too flat and water might stay there, compared to the steeper angle on the left side of the tent. And whatever method you choose for the guy lines, it's also best to set them up in a crisscross pattern. At the entrance I have previously connected a rope through the loop, however this is only really needed when there are really strong winds. Mostly you will be fine without it and have easier access to the tent. And then you're done! Your Sibley Bell tent is set up. Now there is another addition I would like to show you. For this I now have my old Sibley 500 here, which served me well as a home for more than a year. For this tent I have the Duopod, an additional item which you can use instead of the single center pole. To install this, first set up the tent in the normal fashion. Then open up the side zippers halfway to get the poles in and assemble them. Now this would be way easier if you had someone to help you. Raise the Duopod and remove the center pole. And now there is enough space for a large bed, for example. The Duopod is available for the Sibley 400, 450 and 500. Now back to packing the tent. Just repeat every step in the opposite order. Make sure that your tent is completely dry before you pack it. If you need to break camp while the tent is still wet or moist, immediately find a place to set it up again and let it dry completely before packing it. Also make sure that all the guy lines are dry. For the pegs I always like to bring a bucket and wash them when I have water available, before putting them back into their bag. For packing the tent you can leave the ground sheet and the tent canvas connected. First, fold the tent in half. Again, this is much easier if you have someone to help you. If the ground sheet is dirty or wet, it's best to clean that now. I then like to lay out the bag for the tent to see what width I should end up with. Then roll it and clean as you go along. And finally, roll it into the bag. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you get to spend a lot of time out in nature. Bye!